What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer, Tim Hyde, live on YouTube on a beautiful Wednesday night. Hope everyone is doing well. Lots and lots to talk about, Tim. It's a bye week for Notre Dame, but we're not taking this Wednesday off because, again, tons to talk about. Tim, are you doing
Yes.
well, my friend? I see you're in the boathouse.
Yes. Wife's got a little business meeting tonight. So I was like, I'll go down to the lake house, hang out at the water. The waves are crashing out there. So here we go. And talk a little Notre Dame football. I like the show you have tonight. I'm really excited. So
Yeah. I think
really
we
excited. Some
put
interesting topics, that's for sure.
yeah, to let you guys behind the curtain a little bit. Every Wednesday morning, the first thing I do before I go say good morning to the wife, of course, is I text Tim Hyde and say, "Hey, what do you want to talk about tonight?" There's even one thing that Tim said, and I'm like, "All right, I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to say about this in particular." So, again, lots of good stuff to talk about. If you are watching live with us, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching back, why don't you go ahead and do the same thing? Do those two items. They are always helpful. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's always going to be 100% free. Blueandgold.com is your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting. We have a recruiting show tomorrow morning. The coaching staff will be out on the road, Tim, for a couple days. So I actually, before we got on, I wrote that article, typed that out for coaches on the road. So we're going to talk about that with Kyle Kelly, my coworker and sidekick at Blue and Gold. We'll have that all up on the site. So Tim, wanted to start tonight. I think this is a really fascinating topic. It's the freshman watch.
Yes.
Gone are those days where you play a snap, there goes your red shirt. Really, you can get extra eligibility years for just about anything these days. The NCAA doesn't really care about it. Different discussion for a different day. But Jack Sobel at Blue and Gold wrote this premium article titled Freshman Watch, Which Notre Dame Players Are Burning Red Shirts. This is a premium article. Please sign up, $1 for your first month for new subscribers. We're going to let our YouTube and podcast audience check this one out for free, though, via this show, because Jack just did such a good job, and you got an easy visual here. So I want to go through this. So here are the players that have already burned their red shirt. So these are all true freshmen. Running back Jeremiah Love, obviously, he's played in every game. Drake Bowen, Christian Gray, special teams guys.
Yep.
For sure this season. Gray's played a little bit of corner. I think we've seen Bowen at linebacker some blowouts. Obviously, Jaden Greathouse and Rico Flores, the two receivers who I think are pretty outstanding. Tight end Cooper Flanagan, special teamer, and a guy you'll see in there in 13 personnel and whatnot. And safety Luke Tallick, the walk-on from Wyoming, who picked Notre Dame over some P5 offers in the Pac-12. Anything stand out to you here, Tim, in this group of, 7 that have already burned their red shirt? Any surprises, anything kind of stand out to you? And Tim, the answer can be no. If it's simply no, this is what you expected.
No, it's a great group. I mean, Love. I mean, my God, I love. How's that? Ever since Navy, I mean, I'm going back to the Navy game, our post game show, how we talked about him, and he just keeps getting better. Like I'm blown away by him. I did not expect to see the type of running back he is. Just as we always talk, fast guy, he's a burner. He's a running back. Yeah. Bowen and Flanagan have been starters on special teams. Talladge out there, obviously, as well. But Bowen's had some key blocks out there on special teams. The big surprise is really Flanagan. Flanagan could block.
Not to me.
No, not to you. You said way back in August in the middle of camp, or I think even before camp, You said look for him to be the August freshman surprise. And once again, where's he from? De La Salle. De La Salle has produced 3 NFL players: Aaron Taylor, Derek Landry, my favorite nose guard ever outside of Chris Zorich, Isaiah Foskey, and now I think Flanagan's going to be the same type of a future NFL player. So it's a great list. Those guys well-deserved, and no surprises there when you look at it. And then Christian, just real quick on Christian Gray. Holy moly, is he fast.
He's so good.
Him running down on the kickoff return, for the touchdown and he's just, God, he is fast. So definitely going to see him out there a ton next season, if not the starting corner. He's going to be maybe the nickel next year or whatnot. He's going to play a ton next year. He's a special football player.
So playing in 4 games this season is linebacker Jaden Osbury, and this is the note from Jack Sobel, coworker at Blue and Gold. Jack's fantastic. We really have a great staff at Blue and Gold. Love these guys. He wrote Osbury played on special teams in 4 of Notre Dame's first 5 games, but has not played since. He wrote, assuming a coaching staff's intentions can be tricky, but it's reasonable to believe that the Irish decided Osbury's special teams contributions were not worth burning his red shirt. Do you agree we won't see Osbury again this year?
Possibly not if they played him that much early. And the coaching staff, they're going to talk with these kids. They're going to plan this stuff out and all that. So I'm sure that's what they've done with Osbury. But good football player. He really flashes when he's out there. He's got some athleticism. He was one of the what to do, what if type of recruits I remember on signing day, because what's his size and all these things, how is he going to play? But I think he's shown during the spring and training camp and when he's been out there, he's legitimate and ready to roll. So I'm sure he's going to be in the running once those 3 fifth-year guys are all gone.
Okay, super off topic. Long story short, the other day, my Google Chrome was just not working properly. And when I Googled the issue, people are like, just clear your cache and your whatever. So when I did, it logged me out of everything. Really pissed me off. And one of those was our device or not device, our the way we stream this. So I had to re-enter my name. And Scott just said, who is Mike Signer? Because I spelled my name wrong on the screen. So let's go ahead and spell that correctly. So Scott, thank you. Thank you, brother. JP says, calling it out. Boubacar Traore leads the team in sacks by the end of the season.
Oh boy.
That's a pretty. He's got 1 right now. Yes, James, I misspelled my own name, but hey, JP, really appreciate the 5.
He's sucking up to you. Mike Singers, come on, he's sucking up to you right now. He watched the August show. This is your cousin down the road in South Florida.
Hey, JP, appreciate your cousin Stefan. Yeah. But look, there's no way he's got 1 right now. And who's leading?
Who's the leader? With 2 or 3? I mean, it's not like they're a juggernaut of sacks. So he goes out and gets me. And if they let's get back to the red shirts because he's obviously on the
all right. Well, okay. I want to look up sacks real quick. So, oh my God.
Yeah.
Holy no way.
They had more sacks against SC than they had the whole season combined. So it's not a lot. Just like TFLs, they were in the I think going into the game against SC, they're ranked 118th.
This is according to Notre Dame's website, and this is the NCAA stats, right? Yeah. You have Thomas Harper with 2, Jordan Botelho with 2, Nana Asafo-Mensah with 2.
Yeah,
that's it. Holy crap! Yeah, JP says exactly. The team lead is 2. So yeah, maybe he can. Maybe it's not that ridiculous. And I did call back in my 5 bold predictions, like Tim kind of alluded to. Yeah. That was one of mine. Was that I think that Boubacar Traore is going to play a role. I think I said a big role. Listen to his bold predictions.
A role the second half of the season you had predicted. I mean,
I was like, I think he's going to come along. Yeah. And so going back to the freshman watch thing, Boubacar Traore, who's playing Viper right now. I think he's a strong side end. The more his career goes on. And he's played in 3 games. And as Jack mentions in his article here, says the Irish have not got enough in the Viper position. Jordan Botelho has 9 hurries and 141 pass rush snaps. So Boubacar Traore had the sack. We won't talk about what happened after that play, but it ended up being inconsequential. But Tim, Boubacar Traore, got to think his red shirt is coming off, or he will not be redshirting, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I would say just play him. I mean, you got 4 games left. Obviously, they got him into SC, who is the 10th ranked team in the country, the Heisman Trophy winner. They trusted him enough to give him a couple snaps out there. So just play him. You can't ever, because once again, you got to get ready for next year. And if Boubacar is going to be a dude next year, why not give him, 50 snaps over the next 4 games plus, 12, 15 practices, whatever they get for spring. Jeez Louise. The bowl prep. Then the bowl game, play him, get him as much experience as you can. Now the Viper position is turning into the slot on the offense. Everyone plays slot. Everyone's a Viper on defense. So they're going to have to figure out what in the world are they going to do. Because if Botello doesn't come back for a fifth, me personally, I would keep Snead there. I would quit wasting my time with him at middle linebacker. Just let that dude crash and cause havoc. Are they going to move Junior back to Mike? Burnham's a DN. They got to just keep him out on the edge and roll from there. And I think Bubakar as well. So I wouldn't even mind seeing next year, because it's interesting real quick with Burnham. When he's in a 3-point stance a lot. So do they do two ends next year, three guys in 3-point stances? That's going to be interesting to see what they do with all these bodies that they have on the edges. You're on mute. Mute.
Yeah, okay. I've been muted for a good 10 seconds. Okay.
Yeah,
You got this. I'm doing my YouTube show right now. Sorry about that, guys. I was muted and then texting my coworker Kyle Kelly. 10:30 a.m. Eastern time recruiting show tomorrow, guys. Yeah. So just dealing with some of that. What I was trying to say when I was muted is this is the life of someone who does YouTube shows, live television here, plus recruiting on the side. Yes. Okay. So played in 2 games, Tim. Braylon James, Micah Bell, Don Schuler, got to think they're redshirting, and then Jordan Faison, the walk-on.
Yeah, Jordan's playing. He started against SC.
Do you think he's going to play? How many games are left, Tim? 4?
Yeah, 4 plus the Bulls. Yeah, 5.
So 5. So yeah, he's probably
you play him. You play him because he's already shown his the electricity he has, the ball skills that he has. Meaning he's going to be a dude next year. He's going to be out there playing next year. Heck, maybe even starting, depending on what they do with, if Tyree comes back for a fifth just to keep playing. They move Greathouse outside to get Faison inside more. So those are going to be some interesting questions, because they do obviously are going to have a good group of wide receivers with some experience coming back. But James, Bell, Schuler, yeah, they're 100% red shirts.
I'm struggling. Yeah. Jake Hart says Mike's frazzled tonight a little bit. Keep forgetting to hit that damn unmute button. So Tim, yeah, you agree Jordan Faison's playing? Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Okay. And then played a 1 game. Kenny Minchie, Brennan Vernon, Preston Zinter. Those guys are all redshirting.
Yep.
If anyone of that group, maybe Vernon, but probably not. Probably redshirting, Tim.
All redshirt, and hopefully they get a few snaps against Wake. That's what
and this show loves Brandon Vernon. I'm just gonna throw that out there. We love Brandon Vernon here. And then have not played yet at this 2023 class: Charles Jagasaw, Devin Houston, Sylvan Absher, Ben Minnick, Joe Otting, Sam Pendleton, Armel Mookum, Chris Tarrick, KK Smith. I think the only one injured of that group right now is KK Smith's out for the year. And then Ben Minnick was hurt in fall camp-ish early in the season, but he dressed, or he has been recently. So, so yeah, that kind of wraps up the freshman talk. Scott says, I bet Mike Signer would be able to handle the mute button. And JP says, it's Mike Signer, the non-goateed, non-evil twin. You guys are killing me, making me laugh. So, Adam says, this is the doppelganger Mike Signer. You guys are cracking me up. But JP, appreciate that super chat earlier. And yeah, Tim, good segment on the freshman watch. I think that's always an interesting thing, looking at who could be redshirting and who's not. So yeah. But
so when
next,
so real quick, so when it's all said and done, you got 7 are playing, and we would say Bubakar and Faison burn their red shirt. So you got 9 gaining basically a Letterman jacket this year as freshmen. So when it's all said and done, so not bad.
Not bad at all. Jagar says Mike needs to get a mustache to be like his hero Goolsby. I did say on the message board today that if someone sends me $100, I will do a stash for the next Goolsby show, which will not be this Sunday. We're gonna do it after the Pitt game. So yeah, every time I just leave a stash, my wife just is like, no, 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 and sends me back. So I always walk out with it.
Well, yeah. Speaking, we always talk about sponsorships for shave. I mean, Mike, no one shaves closer and cleaner than me. It's like I
Oh,
should
neat.
be.
Oh, Tim, I shave closer and cleaner than you. Look at me, man. Look at
Oh,
this. Look at the
don't
cheeks.
don't
Look
get
how
me.
clean that is and not patchy. Yeah, dude.
Hey, yeah. Anyone out there want to sponsor? Clean shaven. Yeah, I'll take it all
We
day
need to
long.
get you on Caldera Lab, is what it sounds like, Tim.
I love it.
Guys, please do not drop $100 super chat. Please do not do that. I mean, I guess if you really
No.
want to, but don't do that for the shave thing, please. Andrew Gilmore says, if Coach Marcus Freeman wins out, do you think he gets an
Oh,
extension? His contract affects roster decisions in 2024. No extension, no portal quarterback in 2024, right? Now, do we even know how long Freeman's contract is? I mean, that's not something that gets put out at a Notre Dame, right? Or Tim, am I crazy?
traditionally, it's 5 years. So I'm only. Hey, I said. I mean, someone asked this like 9 months ago after the bowl game. I think about an extension, and I get scared because Charlie Weiss is famous for getting his after the USC loss when they extended his out like another 5 years. So let's just finish this season and not even talk about extensions. But exactly, extensions are big. If Freeman could win out these 4 games, which are not going to be as easy as people think, and get the 10-2, sure, they could talk because you're going to need that type of leverage with recruiting, right? All of a sudden, he has 2 years done. Does that talk start to happen with him? No extension portal. Hey, I've been on record for months. They're going to have a portal quarterback, so that's just my opinion.
You have been longer than me, and you know that I'm kind of on that train.
Yeah.
The leader of the Steve Angeli fan club, by the way. But I also, I don't know. I kind of think that's where they're going to go, but still plenty of variables
Yeah.
until then. So yeah, people are saying Freeman's under contract through 2026.
So it is 5 years. That's
That's
standard in Notre Dame is 5 years.
yeah. The one thing I would kind of add on this, Tim, you do have a new AD and a new president.
Ooh, and a new board of trustees. So
So
you got the big three coming there at Notre Dame.
so at a lot of schools, it's like I didn't hire this coach. I think at Notre Dame it might be a little bit different, right?
I
But
I would say, I would say it's different because of Marcus Freeman. I think his personality, I think his, what he's trying to do and things of that
how he
nature.
represents the program.
Yeah,
He runs a
that's why
clean,
the SC
good
game was huge.
program.
That just goes back to why the SC game was beyond big. Because if they don't win that, you're literally looking at back-to-back 8-4s in the regular season. And what does year 3 start to look at and all those things? So the SC game, some people didn't want, oh, it's not that big. Yeah, it is. It's huge because it legitimately gives him a shot to finish his season better than last year. Year 3 better than year 2. You know what I mean? Now you got the process rolling. But yeah, when you get the big 3, president, the AD, the board of trustees all coming in together, yeah. I mean, if Freeman goes 8-4 next year, 7-5, yeah, you start to ask some questions, no doubt about it.
But if I'm Marcus Freeman, I would love to sign that thing right now. Like, hey, so
Oh, sure.
if it's available to him, go ahead and do that. Get
Well,
your security before before year 3.
yeah, but I don't think any of that. That's another great quick. I don't think any of that's going to happen with the new leadership coming in. I don't see Swarbrick and Father Jenkins throwing that out there to, you know, put that on the next person's already table where they got no leverage whatsoever. If something goes bad the next year or 2 under Freeman.
Yeah. And then as far as the quarterback goes, I think you're going to have your starter, who could be a young guy, right? But it's usually going to be, junior, senior, whatever. And then you have a sophomore and a freshman, and that's it. Like that's just kind of what it is now in college football and what we've seen at Notre Dame in recent years. You have your true freshman you just brought on, the true freshman from the year before, and then your starter. Because if you're not starting by your junior year, you're looking to start somewhere else. That's kind of just college football and what we've seen at Notre Dame recently as well. Maybe not to a T perfectly, but generally speaking.
And then just to throw out real quick, which we've talked about is Freeman's got to make this decision in December. So this talk of, well, CJ Carr, to me, he can't wait. It's non-existent with CJ Carr because he's got to make a decision before spring. He can't go through spring football when all the quarterbacks have kind of been gobbled up. So he needs to have a gut feeling after Stanford is Angeli, is Minchie my guy in 2024? And if they're not, I'm telling you, man, we all know there's going to be 25 quarterbacks hitting this portal.
Yeah.
And what Hartman's done with the NIL, quarterback in, all that type of stuff this year. Jack Coan in 2021 is obviously was successful as well. It makes Notre Dame a spot to be for transfers.
Yeah, save that. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But I will add that like Carr, yeah, you can't like count on him as a true freshman. That'd be great. Yeah, but like you said, you got to see what he's like in the spring. You bring in, I think for this year, you bring in if there is a Sam Hartman level quarterback that you can get, that's great to kind of give him a wink, wink, you're our guy. But otherwise, I'm fine with just bringing in someone and let the four duke it out between Minchie, Angeli, Carr, and the transfer. Tim, we are going to hear from our sponsors at Game Time. Talk about that ticket buying process because it can be stressful. You got to find that event you want. Sometimes that's easy, sometimes that's not. But once you find it, you got to get the seats you want, go through that whole ticket purchasing process. It can be stressful, especially if you are trying to find last minute tickets, but it shouldn't be stressful. And that's where we meet our sponsor, Game Time. Go to gametime.co. It's not .com, just .co. It's a fast and easy way to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy, and theater near you with last minute ticket deals so you can relax and get hyped for that fun that you're going to have. Use the promo code BGI and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. And best thing, they guarantee you'll get the lowest price or they will refund you 110%. You don't need to plan months in advance since they have deals right up to Game Time. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use that promo code BGI for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Mr. Hyde, next on the docket today. I don't have this in a nice, graphic, or I don't have like a website to pull up for this. So this is just going to be good old radio where you guys are going to have to listen to me. Mid-season All-American teams came out. And we're going to look at the Notre Dame side of things. Hold on, guys, 1 second. Ian says, firm but soft checking in. That's his username on the message board. One of my favorites. Says, checking in. Love that my post is a topic for tonight's live show. Not only is it a topic for the show, I actually have the board post pulled up for something that we will specifically look at as well. So, firm but soft. Hope you are well, my friend. Anyways, Tim. So mid-season All-American list came out. Notre Dame's all over the place on this. I find this pretty interesting. Okay. So again, you just gonna have to listen to me on this one. Are you ready, Tim?
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
ESPN and some of these websites do like a first team, second team. I don't like it. Just give me a first team. I digress. Audric Estime and Howard Cross, first team midseason All-Americans. Joe Alt, just an honorable mention. So if they had a second team, you'd imagine he'd be on there. But Joe Alt, honorable mention.
He was on I saw that.
The Athletic has a first and a second team. 3 Notre Dame guys on the second team, not on the first team. Joe Alt, Howard Cross, Xavier Watts. Okay, Xavier Watts making that second team. I mean, probably large part just due to the USC game, if we're going to be honest. He's been really good this season, but USC, took him to All-American kind of level. CBS, just as a first team. Audric Estime and Joe Alt. Sporting News, just a first team, I believe. Estime, Alt, and Cross. There's 3. That's the most favorable one on the list, I believe. PFF, Estime, Alt, and Cross. So there you go. Just as favorable. Plus the second team, Mitchell Evans and Riley Mills. So PFF is liking Notre Dame the most right now. So again, Estime, Alt, and Cross all on their first team midseason All-American. Second team, they had Mitchell Evans and Riley Mills. And then USA Today had Howard Cross and Joe Alt. So a lot of love for Howard Cross. Audric Estime, ton of love, obviously. Up there in rushing yardage and all the big rushing categories. And of course, Joe Alt. Now, the one omission that we didn't see at all is a certain cornerback or even two cornerbacks that at least should have maybe got an honorable mention or something. Not that these sites all need to do honorable mentions. We don't need participation trophies, but like, I don't know. Ben Morson's been really darn good. Cam Hart's been really good this season. There's also a lot of other good cornerbacks out there, but just thoughts on the list there, and then those two omissions, or if maybe if there's anyone else, that on Notre Dame's roster that didn't make it, maybe a quarterback. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we cover Notre Dame, so the bias is towards there. So
Right.
everyone's going to be like, "Well, he's not here. He's not here." They're 6-2, so you can't. It's kind of hard to have 5 All-Americans on a 6-2 football team. I think it's kind of how it's looked at. So that would be my opinion. So they're like, okay, who are the best ones? Notre Dame's having a heck of a year. They're a play away from being Ohio State, a play away from losing the Duke, and then obviously the meltdown in Louisville. But I would say, I mean, estimate number 1 leads Power 5 running backs. I
Yeah,
think he's 4th overall. The top 3 are in the group of 5. He's 4th in total rushing yards.
total. But I need to pull up like his
Balance itself.
average because obviously he played 8 games.
No, exactly. So that's going to balance out after this week, when they have their bye and, and things of that nature. Joe Alt's been absolutely amazing. I will say, though, the Penn State left tackle who came back, he was going to be a top 10 pick last year, came back. That's going to be the battle for Joe Alt, I believe, when it comes to the All-American teams, unless they're both left tackles, unless they just put tackle, and who cares who's left, who's right on the All-American team. And especially for the Lombardi Outland, I think that's going to be a Joe Alt versus him, the Penn State guy. I think is going to be a battle for that, for those lineman awards at the end of the year. Cross has been a stud.
Yeah,
I mean, Notre Dame's top 20, top 10 in tons of defensive categories. So, who's been the best defensive football player? I think that's what the writers said. Boom, it's Howard Cross, put him on there. And then, like you said, there's 1,000 DBs. But Notre Dame, they're like top 5 in pass efficiency defense, top 5 in passing yards, up there in total defense, up there, just so many categories. It's hard not to think Morrison, Cam Hart. At the end of the day, when the AP All-American comes out, one of those two is going to be on the 3 teams because AP comes out with 3 All-American teams.
yeah, and there's no AP midseason All-American
No.
list at least at the time of
At least today.
earlier today. A couple quick things, Tim. I did find the the rushing stats. So he is the number 1 among the Power Fives in rushing yards of 787. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, he's played 8 games. Taj Brooks at Texas Tech is ran for 1 less yard in 1 less game.
No, I know.
So he's gonna be like, after this bye week, he's gonna be probably closer to 8 or 9. Not throwing any shade at Audric Estime. I absolutely love him as a
No. I mean, you're right though.
backs. So
Exactly.
again, amazing season. He's up there in rush touchdowns as well. Second in the Power 5 ranks, it looks like. It's always interesting, Tim. We do call Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not really a Power 5, but we kind of lump them in there. It's an independent school, but it's Notre Dame. We count Notre Dame. You don't count, Navy and independent as a group of 5.
It's funny you say that because people go nuts on Twitter when they
About
do
that.
Power. Oh, Notre Dame's not a Power 5. Yeah, okay. Technically they are, so let's be honest. But I hear you. No, but at the end of the day, 4 games left. Estime has a legitimate shot to be a first-team All-American if he goes out and obviously has some big games to wrap up this season, get himself over 1,000 yards, all the touchdowns. Alt's going to be a first-team All-American. Cross, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a first-team All-American.
Yeah.
And then you got to look at one of the corners, which will probably be Morrison, because, he's got the name over Hart.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the season.
Navy's not an independent, though. I said, Dave, I don't even think they're an independent.
Navy's group of 5. Yeah, they're officially group of 5. They're in the AAC, whatever that.
You have what? Notre Dame, Army, New Mexico State, and one other, I think, is your independent schools in FBS, and UMass. There you go. 4.
UMass.
Connecticut?
Yeah.
Wait, Army, Notre Dame, Connecticut,
yeah.
UMass.
UConn's an independent too.
Apparently, according to Wikipedia.
Yeah. BYU's in the Big 12 now.
right? I thought New Mexico State was. I think I said.
Yeah.
Anyway, not important conversation.
No, no. That's why we call Notre Dame Group of Five, Power Five. Yeah, Group of Five. Jeez, Power Five.
Okay.
What do we got here, Scott?
Scott says first time catching a Blue and Gold live show. Let's go, Scott. Love listening to you and Tim. I know Mike has pictures of Angeli on his wall. Let me actually, if I tilt this far enough, you guys will start to see him. I'm kidding.
Blue and Gold
But
cup.
I'm hoping Minchie is the guy next year. Live arm. Thanks for a great show. Well, Scott, really appreciate the 10, my friend.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I love all these quarterbacks. I do. I love Hartman. How can you not love Sam Hartman? What the guy stands for and what he's all done. I don't know. How he always just talks about his teammates. I love Sam Hartman. I love Angeli. Love Minchie. Love Carr. I mean, I just love Deuce Knight. I don't know. I just like all these quarterbacks. It's hard to choose a favorite, but Angeli is my favorite.
Well,
But I don't know. I don't know if
years
he'll be the guy next year. I don't know if it'll be Minchie. If I were to bet, I'd say a transfer.
Yeah, let's just break it down. I mean, it's how can it? I mean, seriously, how can it be Minchie, who's third string? And I've never seen him with a helmet other than the Tennessee State game when he got in, right? Or he probably got in one other game. I didn't even pay attention. But right? I mean, he's always, you see him on the sideline, he has this tiny little notepad. And he's always taking little notes and he stands behind the coaches. You always see him on the sideline, never has a helmet on, never. And Jelly had a helmet on this whole last game, so he was hyped up being the number 2. But it's a big jump going from that role to Notre Dame. And yeah, Freeman's going to have to make that decision in 2 months, less than that, really.
Yeah.
6 weeks you're looking at.
You know what we need to get you, Tim? We need to get you rocking some home field. So I'm going to have my people talk to your people because I was wearing my home field shirt all day, really, until the show. And home field is an amazing collegiate clothing line. And they have comfortable, licensed college football clothing. And one of the great things about home field is their designs, especially this Notre Dame stuff. The Sam Hartman Victory March tee is definitely a fan favorite. They went into the archives of the old school Notre Dame designs, and they've created some unique and thoughtful apparel. Authentic, shows the nostalgia of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And they actually have licenses to over 150 colleges. So you can find, some college gear, buy a shirt for yourself, buy a hoodie for, your brother's birthday, and he happens to be, God forbid, a Michigan or Michigan State fan or something like that. Get him something and then get yourself something. And best of all, use the promo code BlueGold23 and you will get 15% off your first order with Home Fields. It's a site that's easy to shop. You just go to schools here at the top, and look, you have all of these different schools to choose from and some pretty neat gear. Be prepared for game day this fall by shopping at homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code BlueGold23. Receive 15% off your purchase. And this is the shirt I was wearing today. This Irish Notre Dame baseball tee. Fits pretty well. And like I said in the ad read, it is comfortable. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Hey,
yeah.
Before we get rolling,
okay.
Just a couple things I just noticed in the
I'll
chat.
even give you full screen, Tim.
While you're reading that, because I'm seeing guys saying we have to develop. So I'm asking Mr. Singer and every other Notre Dame fan out there, because I see this all the time. We go into these types of topics, and it's like, where in the bylaws does it say you must develop and only play your guys?
All right,
Tim. So hold on. Did Notre Dame do bad by bringing in Baptiste? Did they not develop so Baptiste is bad? Why did they bring in Harper to play nickel? Why didn't they just play Mickey there at nickel? I look at the portal moving forward as in it's recruiting. And isn't the whole goal in recruiting is to constantly recruit players to come in and play for you? So if the portal gives you someone to bring in and play right away who's better than the guy on your roster, what is wrong with that? I'm just curious.
The way I look at this, Tim, and I think a lot of college coaches would agree with me with the portal, especially like school like Notre Dame, that can't get the undergrad guys is you would rather play your guys.
Sure.
But if they're not ready to go or you need improvements, you go to the portal. That's just it, especially at quarterback, the most important position on the field.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We constantly see this. Well, you got to develop. Well, what if that development takes 18 months, 20 months? Who's to say that? What's the process of that development? So I always, we see it all the time, Mike, in our YouTube comments, the chats we get, the message board all the time. It's always develop, develop, develop. No, the goal, what we've learned, if anything, as we're going to get into this next topic, is you get the best football player. And if the best football player is out there to improve your football team, once again, look at Baptiste. Who's playing DN if there's no Baptiste? Not one person, Mike, has ever complained about Baptiste coming from Ohio State. Not one. People love seeing him out there playing all the time. Yet, just the quarterbacks only needs to be developed. That's it. The other ones, who cares?
I love this. I love this from Fifth Wheel. He says, why sign with Notre Dame if we just dive to the portal? Bro, listen. Notre Dame signed 7 from the portal. Didn't Colorado add like 50?
55.
Why sign with Notre Dame? How about the segment to open the show where we went through all of the true freshmen who are playing at Notre Dame? Notre Dame plays so many true freshmen. They're going to have what? You said 9 who we think are going to have
9. They're going to have 9 monogram winners this year.
9 guys play more than
10 with Osbury. So they could have 10 monogram winners with Osbury.
So Notre Dame is not going to the portal nearly as much as you guys are talking about Florida State in the comments of our live chat. Yeah. Florida State's littered with transfers. USC littered. So the question is not, why would guys go to Notre Dame if you just dive in the portal? Why would you go to any other school and try to play early? Because they're taking so many more portal guys. Notre Dame is playing so many true freshmen. Fifth Wheel, I know I'm kind of ragging on you here, but I'm actually glad you brought up that point so I could bring up mine. Local source says it's good to fill the roster. 7 is a good number. Don't want to get carried away with it. Notre Dame's kind of going to be in that 5 to 7 range every year, which is perfect. You improve your roster, and you're not taking 20 guys. You're not doing something crazy like some of these other programs. So that's it.
No, I agree, and we know Swarbrick and Freeman by some of the conversations that they have about the process of taking undergrads. Eventually, it's going to happen. There's going to be a process where if let's just say a Purdue wide receiver, he's in-state kid, Notre Dame offered him, but we went on someone else who goes to Purdue, takes 2 semesters there. He's an engineering major, which is extremely. I got 2 ex-players that went to Purdue, by the way, engineer majors. So they obviously got math, academics, and all that stuff. Why can't they come into Notre Dame and transfer 90% of those units, so to speak? So that's the behind the scenes, way behind everybody's pay grade, that's slowly going to take place, where they're not going to take an LSU sophomore, who's taking basket weaving, so to speak. You know what I mean? But eventually it will happen. Sorry, LSU. I'm sure there's some LSU, probably not LSU fans in here, but in general. But eventually it's going to happen. And Mike, you talked about this a ton in December, how aggressive Freeman in the group was going after freshmen. There was a lot of freshmen hit the portal, and they went after. 5, 6 guys they went after, tried to get them in, because once again, those guys that they offered have had come on visits and whatnot. They got a relationship. Their transcripts are in the system. Those guys are going to bounce around a lot for Notre Dame to get.
Yeah. A couple things before we move on from this. My understanding is that for Notre Dame, it's easier for them to do someone who is just wrapped up their first semester of college. It's easier for Notre Dame. I don't think it's obviously not as easy as a grad transfer coming over, but for like a CJ Williams and Anthony Lucas, they wrap up their freshman first semester at USC and what was it, A&M respectively. Notre Dame was able to go after those guys, but when you get into sophomore, junior year and you're not graduated, it does get more difficult. And then Fifth Wheel says I'm talking about quarterback. It's the same thing. Like all these schools
Oh,
isn't it half of P5 starting quarterbacks are transfers? So it's
yeah.
again, this is you guys will focus so much on Notre Dame and just what Notre Dame is doing. You got to look at college football. College football everywhere. They're taking so many quarterback transfers. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, everywhere you have quarterback transfers, and
Uh,
these guys got to sign somewhere. So for Notre
I'll
Dame, you hope you bring in a freshman. He looks really good. You start him as a sophomore. That's the goal, and then you start him for 3 years. That's what you hope.
the transfer for anyone that knows anything about Los Angeles, Orange County football, San Diego, the transfer portal's nuts in Southern California when it comes to quarterbacks. Quarterbacks bounce around all over the place in Southern California. It's the same thing. They're just always looking for a better opportunity. There's quarterbacks, same thing. If you're going to Oaks Christian High School where Jimmy Clausen went, and you're not the starter as a sophomore, and there's an opening at Alamany down the street where Tuli Alamaka is from, you're going to Alamany. You're going to Sierra Canyon. You're going to Harvard Westlake. You know what I mean? Sherman Oaks, Notre Dame, Crespi. All of a sudden, Modern Day. Who's the Heisman Trophy winner from Modern Day? A Cathedral High School transfer, Bryce Young. These guys bounce around like hotcakes
Yeah.
all over the place. So
Yeah.
it's just the nature of the beast in a lot of these major high school regions. And then they boom. It's the same thing in college ball, and it's crazy. It really is. USC. I bet you USC goes out and gets a transfer. You got Caleb going to the pro. They signed Malachi Nelson, who's a 5-star, but is taken. I don't even think he's taken a snap. If he has, it was.
Is Miller Moss still there?
Miller Moss is still there. Miller Moss grew up right down the street where I coached before. Great kid, great family. But is Moss going to be that that guy? Miller Moss went to 3 high schools. You want to talk about transfers? Loyola to Alamany to Modern Day, and then COVID happened. He went to USC early. So that's just fascinating off topic there.
Yeah, we'll give kudos to him. He's a junior, I believe, and he stuck around. I mean,
Yeah,
hell,
Miller
my brother who went D1 at a small school in South Carolina, he didn't start going into his junior season. He bounced or maybe his sophomore season. But yeah, this is
it happens.
This is how it goes. Tim, one more ad read tonight. We're going to hear from Rogue Shop, the husband and wife outfit, as Mr. Rogue and his wife Shar are craft cannabis farmers. I'm just doing this read, the beginning of this read off memory, who specialize in small batch sustainable plant medicine, a true holistic type of small business. They farm and grow everything themselves, do everything by hand. Check them out, rogueshop.com, ROGUE shop.com. Rogue Shop sells CBD, THC edibles, tinctures, smokables, bath salts, pain creams, topicals, vapes, candles, soaps, and more. If you're like, Singer, what the hell are you talking about? I don't know any of this stuff. Go to their website. It's got a 24/7 chat function where you can ask Mr. Rogan Shar any questions that you may have. Check it out, rogueshop.com. If you have issues sleeping, chronic pain, and or have anxiety, stress issues. Promo code blue and gold. So blue and gold as one word, and that will get you 10% off your first order. Rogueshop.com. So, Tim, in my show with Goolsby this past Sunday night, our mustached friend said there's a super chat about who's the last Notre Dame quarterback you would take over Sam Hartman. And Mr. Goolsby surprised me. And it was near the end of the show. We're like, we got to get this. We had to roll through the super chats. We didn't spend much time on it. He said Jack Coan. So Goolsby would take Coan over Hartman. I think both of you and I disagree with that. We're not here to crap on our esteemed colleague. But even as I mentioned earlier in the show, Buddy Firm But Soft on the message board said he had these stats. In 2021, Jack Coan compiled these stats: 65.5 completion percentage, 3,150 yards, 25 tutties, 7 picks. Sam Hartman's, here's his stats through 8 games: 64.5 completion percentage, 1,838 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 3 picks. Firm But Soft adds, we're just going to trust his math here. He says, in order to surpass Jack Coan's season and stats, Hartman will need to average 328 yards per game, almost 2 touchdowns per game, and have a completion percentage better than 66.5% for the final 4 games. So he says 4 games there, but it's really 5 games because I'm pretty sure he included Coan's bowl game, which
Yes.
really jacked up Coan's numbers because that Oklahoma State game, Coan went crazy, especially in that first half. So he adds in his post disregarding intangibles and based on stats, do you think Hartman or Coan will have had the better transfer season at Notre Dame? So, Hyde, I will give you the floor here, sir. Coan versus Hartman? Not the discussion I thought I was going to have, but
exactly. When you and I talked at 8 a.m. this morning, who would have thought we were talking about Jack Coan and Sam Hartman? It's no, I mean this conversation's a no-brainer. It's ridiculous, to tell you the truth. It's like, really? Jack Coan is better than Sam Hartman? Is that the conversation? So it makes no sense.
Why?
Oh my God. Oh, okay. Here we go. Numbers don't lie. So number one, I didn't count the bowl game. The bowl game, we'll see what happens there. So you just go off of 12 games, right? Which that guy, he added all the bowl game stats, which is fine. But Jack Coan was 28th through 12 games, mind you, was 28th in yards. Hartman's 19th right now. Sam Hartman Lee is 5th in the country in touchdown passes. 5th. Coan finished 28th. Passing efficiency. Coan is 31st. Hartman's 15th in the country. And if the season ended today, Sam Hartman breaks Jimmy Clausen's passing efficiency record at Notre Dame from 2009. Completion percentage, Coan's a little bit higher. In yards attempt, Hartman's 19th. Coan is 40th. Now just start doing the numbers. Coan, obviously, their season was 11-1. 2 ranked teams they played. 2 ranked teams, Mike. Wisconsin. Jack Coan didn't finish the game, and they won without him. Pine, came in, and obviously the great kickoff return from Chris Tyree. Cincinnati, the big top 10 battle, the big clash against Cincinnati. Coan was benched. Drew Pine finished it. The next big week. Hold on, the next big week we're getting ready for Vaught Tech, and you and I are doing a show talking about. You got is the big debate. Do you go Pine or Coan
or Buckner even,
or Buckner, who was playing a little bit? Not so much Buckner because Buckner got benched from Cincinnati. Buckner didn't even play against Wisconsin because he had a tight hamstring. So that was one of the Buckner early injuries as his freshman year. He had a little sore hammy. And then you go into Vaught Tech, Coan stinks. They bench him for Buckner. Obviously, Coan comes back in because Buckner throws the pick six. Coan goes down, they get the field goal. Hey, let's be honest. The 2021 season was crazy. It was a mess. The O-line was a mess because they lost all of those great NFL linemen from 2020. But, man, you got to look at, who do you want to throw the ball to? Do you want to throw the ball to Rico Flores as a true freshman or Kevin Austin? They had Michael Mayer. Mike, pull up the stats this year. Do people know do you know, all the Notre Dame fans out there,
which
do you
stats?
know the leading or, just receiving stats, whatever you got. Their leading receiver is obviously Evans, who's a tight end. He's not Michael Mayer, who was tearing it up in 2021 and obviously last year, the greatest season ever. The Notre Dame's leading receiver this year is Chris Tyree. Chris Tyree was the 3rd string running back last year. Do we forget that? That's the leading receiver this year. So it's just like, come on, give me a break. It's like, look, Mike, I went back over the last 4 games. The last 4 games, which, by the way, Notre Dame hasn't played 4 straight ranked teams since 2000. 2000. They hadn't played 3 ranked teams in a row until 2003. So it's been a while. The target rate, people want to attack Hartman as of late and whatnot. They are throwing the ball to the wide receivers. The wide receivers have caught 42%, Mike, of targets the last 4 games. 42%. That's a great 3-point shooting number, but it ain't a great pass receiving number. So I don't understand this. I went back all the way basically to Brady Quinn because before Quinn, it was, Bob Davies options. Tyrone Willingham had no quarterbacks. Obviously Quinn as a freshman and sophomore year weren't good. But if you just look at numbers, efficiency, touchdowns, whatnot, the only 2 quarterback seasons in the last 20 years are Jimmy Clausen's 2009 and Brady Quinn's 2005. Quinn was so-so in 06 when you look at his overall NCAA numbers. So if Hartman stays on this pace, he's going to be in the national statistics in many categories, which Notre Dame has not had since Clausen 09, Quinn 05. That's it. So Jack Coan was nowhere to be found in these. And like I said, Sam Hartman's on pace to break Clausen's passing efficiency record. So it's had a heck of a season. Anyone who doesn't think Sam Hartman's been a positive, I mean, seriously, what can you say at this point?
Okay.
He's been a positive.
Couple things. Let's pull up the 2021 receiving group, Tim. Have you taken any of Notre Dame's so Michael Mayer, 71 receptions, 840 yards, 7 touchdowns. You're not taking any of the tight ends over Michael Mayer. Kevin Austin, you're not taking any of Notre Dame's receivers over Kevin Austin. 48 receptions that year, 888 yards, 7 touchdowns. He was pretty darn good. Remember, that team had Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams, 42 receptions, 359 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kyron Williams was outstanding.
Look what he's doing with the Rams this year. He's tearing it up.
Braden Lenzy. My God, you wish you had Braden Lenzy, Avery Davis, Lorenzo Styles.
This is Styles
and down the depth chart. Hell, this Notre Dame receiving group could really use a healthy Deion Colsey or a Joe Wilkins.
I know.
You don't have it. So, I mean, listen.
Let's just take a pause. Let's just take another pause and look at 2023. We're getting ready to play Pitt here in a week, and you have a lacrosse walk-on who just got awarded a scholarship, third string running back who's now the team's leading wide receiver. You've got a couple freshmen. Rico Flores has been pushed into the starting role. He's not prepared to be the outside go-to guy. We know that. Jaden Greathouse was on pace to be a freshman All-American. He's been injured. He's not going to be one now. If he was healthy for 12 years, he's without a doubt going to be one of the top 2 teams for freshman All-American. Colsey's out. Salerno is the most trusted guy in that room. Has played as much as all of us combined. You got, oh my God. Mike, who would have thought Lorenzo Styles is needed this season? Can you imagine if he was on this team? Lorenzo Styles has 70-something catches his first 2 years combined, gone. And not that he's the juggernaut or stud, but Lorenzo Styles was second last year on the team behind Michael Mayer in receptions. That's forgotten. Jaden Thomas has been injured. This is a hodgepodge of a group. And we've talked about this. Goolsby and I talked about this 6 months ago, 9 months ago, a month ago. And it's coming true. And yet Notre Dame has managed to get where they're at with this group. I think he's having a hell of a football season. And he just is.
And to add on, we like Jack Coan a lot. He was, Tim, before we started recording, we were like, that was the perfect quarterback.
Perfect.
For that year. Like, Notre Dame needed a guy like Jack Coan. And Tim, when you just look at the eye test, Jack Coan is more physically imposing, but Hartman has him on ability to move in the pocket and get outside the pocket. Say arm strength is fairly similar. I'll take like Hartman mechanically over Coan. Coan had a kind of a funky wind up, maybe not a wind up, but he threw it. That is exactly how he kind of threw. It's kind of weird looking, and all the kind of off the field.
The game. Who went into 2021 every game excited? People were like stressed out, nervous as hell. It was crazyville. Remember the beginning of the year, they didn't know what to do with Coan. They had Kane Madden at guard getting destroyed. Zeke Correll had to play a guard, for crying out loud. They had 4. Joe Alt was the 4th string tackle who finally got his break halfway through the season. And let me just say this real quick. The stats with Coan and everybody, we talked about this back then. Notre Dame, like the last 6 games of that season, every single defense was ranked in the hundreds, I think, but one. So I think 5 out of the 6 defenses that year were ranked in the top 100 when it came to yards per play, total yards. And that's the other thing. The yards per play this season, I was going over on the webpage earlier. Notre Dame is on pace to have their best offensive season since the great 2015 offense. Better seasons than the Jimmy Clausen ones. I don't know. It's just I'm puzzled because when you hear things like that, it's like, how do you feel though when you watch these games this year? Obviously, we could talk Louisville all day. But what have I said about Hartman? The more I've dived into Sam Hartman in Louisville, that is his kryptonite. His 3 worst college games in the history of Sam Hartman, all at Louisville. 2020, 2022, 2023. His 3 lowest ranked quarterback rating games are all at Louisville. That's his kryptonite. He's horrible at Louisville.
Tim, I mentioned at the top of the show that like how we'll text during the day and topic discussions, and you sent me something that I thought was interesting. You had said that, hold on, let me bring it up. Note Sam Hartman has made, quote, the quarterback spot popular at Notre Dame. End quote. What do you mean by that? You just kind of talking about like, hey, look at all he's doing in the transfer thing, or as a transfer quarterback and NIL and all that stuff. Like, kind of talk about that a little bit more. Curious your thoughts on this.
Well, I think in this era, as we just talked about 10 minutes ago with some of the guys in the chat that we're talking about, is in this era of the transfer portal, I think that is important because there's going to be a quarterback out there somewhere. There's going to be a quarterback at, Baylor. Let's just use Baylor. I got a good friend who went to Baylor. So Baylor, and they're like, oh man, I don't want to go 6-6 again, but he's a stud quarterback. He's got 2 years of starting experience. Let me go check out Notre Dame. Look what they've done. Same thing. I mean, Jack Coan, you and I we love Jack. Jack Coan was perfect for 2021. Brian Kelly and Reese are looking out there against Alabama and like, we can't play 2021 with Drew Pine and Buckner as a true freshman because Phil Jurkovec bailed. They had to get a quarterback that year, and Coan was the perfect quarterback for that team in that season. And I think that is going to happen down the road. Hartman has been popular. Seriously, just look at the press he's gotten. ESPN loving him up. The Fox shows loving him up. Everyone's loved him up this year. He has been popular. The NIL. I mean, seriously, every time he does a press conference, has he ever even talked about himself for 4 seconds? Never. He doesn't give a damn. He's worried about everyone else, talking about his team and his coaches. The guy's been unbelievable. And I wouldn't be surprised if that had something to even do with Deuce Knight, with just the quarterback, on that pedestal. It has not been there. I think every single Notre Dame fan can agree that Notre Dame quarterback spot has not been what it used to be, what it used to mean. You play quarterback at Notre Dame, you're automatically in the Heisman conversation. That used to be the old saying back in the day. And that's gone away for a long time. So I think his popularity there, and I think the quarterback recruiting, I think Deuce Knight sees it. And I think someone just posted in the chat as well, is true. NIL, I think that is something that is going to be popular for Notre Dame moving forward. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I think Sam Hartman is a kind of a guinea pig with some of the things that they threw out there. Notre Dame, as we know, is a massive brand. Heck, look at the television audiences this year. It is insane how many people watch Notre Dame football. Were they doing that last year? Were they doing that 2021? No. It's this year, and I think a lot of it has to do with Sam Hartman. I just do.
Okay. All right, Tim, a couple super chats, and then I think it's time to wrap up the show. Tim D had $2, and he said, can Notre Dame's comparably low use of transfer portal be an advantage when it comes to recruiting 5-star high school players? Maybe, I guess. It's a way to negative recruit, I guess, against some schools. But at the end of the day, one thing I'd throw at you, some food for thought, is every recruit thinks that they're the man, like they're the guy, like they're going to come in and start as a true freshman. So they may not care. It's like, oh, I don't, what do you mean transfer portal? Like, I'm going to come and start as a true freshman. So that would be one note I would throw at you. Tim, you have any quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, man, the first person I thought about was just Keon Keeley, who's sitting back redshirting this year, not even playing. It's like, can you imagine him being here? They don't. I mean, he could have played. There's a handful of guys, Scott. There's a handful of guys that could have played. Richard Young was the big surprise recruit. Remember when McCullough and Marcus Freeman drove away in the Benz or Ferrari, whatever they had? He's redshirt and he hasn't played a snap at Alabama. What if they could have gotten him out of Florida and Keeley out of Florida and said, hey, come to Notre Dame. This is what you're going to do down the road, and this is what you could earn in NIL and your name and all this stuff. So you just got to keep pounding, right? You just keep chopping wood, and eventually it's going to
Yeah.
pop with some of these guys. Heck, the
Yeah.
2000 Mike, both the 2025 commits, aren't they all SEC country? Which we talked
4 of
about
the
this.
5, yeah.
It's crazy. They're an SEC country's been hard as heck for Notre Dame to make way into, and they're doing it in this cycle. I think that's just they just keep chopping wood, keep offering guys down there, keep recruiting, sending coaches down there, and those guys are relentless, and they're gonna get them eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you make good points. Maybe Notre Dame could use it more. Maybe they are. I don't know. But at the end of the day, kids go where they want to go. But it's an interesting thought. And then lastly, Scott says, "Can I get your guys' take on Notre Dame NIL? It feels like they're figuring it out a bit. Hartman beats and UA deals look good. When kids get to Notre Dame, they do well. You have to. It's not a handout. Like you'll see Notre Dame players take it. Like I think Hartman just tweeted something today where he was, volunteering somewhere. I say volunteering. He's getting NIL for that. Like I think Brady Quinn does a really good job kind of leading this initiative for Notre Dame. So when the guys get to Notre Dame, they do well. And that's freshmen up to Sam Hartman. They all make good money. I'm not going to throw a figure out there, but like they're all making good money. Now, the thing that Notre Dame is not really doing is the guaranteeing or the promising what you're going to make, which is what you saw Texas A&M sign. What was it, a #1 class in the 22 cycle? Notre Dame's not doing that. You see how that worked out for A&M. They're not doing too well. Someone posted on the board they haven't won a road game in 2 years. It's crazy. But even in recruiting and NIL, I think Notre Dame is doing well. And it might sound a little contradictory, but that's all I can kind of say at this point. But like overall, to answer your second question, I do think that they're doing like they've kind of figured it out a little bit more. So, Scott. So thanks for the $5 super chat. Tim, do you have any thoughts before we sign off?
No, I mean they're using. I mean Notre Dame is using the brands out there, the big names, the big brands to use the NIL for what it is. The NIL is not here's a $250,000 check for the next 4 years, or if you leave in 2 or whatever, we'll take it away. All that stuff. No, they're like, come here, play some good football, get a great education, and this is what's out here using the Notre Dame name associated with you. So, I mean, there's so many Notre Dame football players that have done amazing things out there. Joe Alt sponsored by Chevy truck or Ford truck, some truck where he's getting trucks. So he's sponsored by a truck. That's awesome. All the linemen are sponsored by a bunch of the local restaurants getting money from them. So it's out there.
I have 2 recruits to call that I was supposed to call 4 minutes ago. So, guys, this is it. No way Notre Dame. Brady, appreciate the 5. No way Notre Dame doesn't go after Elick Ayomanor next year. You can't go after somebody. That's not really how it goes. If he enters the portal, maybe. Ayomanor picked Stanford over Notre Dame. That was his top 2.
Yeah.
He was like was that 2022 class Notre Dame offered him after seeing him at Irish Invasion. He says, love the show. Well, Brady, appreciate you loving the show. Go Notre Dame. Yeah, if he enters the portal and he's a graduate, hell yeah. Or even if he's not and they can get in a Stanford guy, hell yeah, you bring him in no matter what. So Brady, appreciate you. Tim, fantastic show today. Thought you brought it as always, my friend. I will see you next Wednesday. Since obviously there's no game Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, Thursday. Myself and Kyle Kelly will talk a lot of Notre Dame recruiting. Hope to see you guys then. As always, go to blueandgold.com, lock into our Notre Dame coverage there. Appreciate you all. If you're watching us live, watching us back, or listening via podcast only, you guys are the best. And as always, everyone, we will catch you next time.
All right. Is it still going?
I don't think so.
It says live up there. Cheers, everybody.